walked straight up and pointed him out. And at that point, that was the end for John Duffy.
He said nothing. He said no comment to everything. He didn't deny anything. He just said no comment. He would talk to me about martial arts as long as the day. You know, he was quite happy to talk about that. But anything to do with rape, missing girls, murders, not interested. And of course, his answer was, I've been in hospital, I've had amnesia. I don't remember anything. I don't remember anything before going into hospital.
Detectives knew they needed some solid evidence if they were going to charge Duffy with murder. And the string that he and Mulcahy had used to tie up Marcia Tamboza 7 months earlier was about to give them just that.
They used a particular piece of string that was called some yarn, and a lot of us will think string is string is string. But when you get down to the forensic detail, how it's made, what it's made of, all of these things can be very different. And if you happen to use a very unusual piece of string, it's going to help identify where that's come from.
And the company said this is a very unusual piece of string because it's been taken from the end of the yarn. So basically it's on a loom, it's cut, and this is an end piece. And they said to us, if you can find the ball of string, we could do a match. So the search team, who went to Duffy's parents' address, searched the outside toilet, and in a bucket in there was a ball of some yarn.
It was enough to finally put an end to the murderous career of one of the railway killers.
Gradually, the evidence is building up against Duffy, and he was charged with the murder of Anne Locke, in addition to the murder of Alison Day, Marty Tamboza, and a number of rapes.
Investigators were certain that Duffy's accomplice was his oldest friend, David Mulcahy.
He was actually arrested 4 times over the next few months. Every time the police got another break, they brought him in again, but eventually realised there just wasn't enough evidence. There was no forensic evidence to connect him with the crimes at all. When they searched his vehicles, they found in the cab of his van masking tape, balaclavas, all sorts of things that incriminated him, but none of it was enough.
But his name was known to the press, and a lot of people, a lot of pressmen went to see him, just to gauge what sort of reaction he would give. Of course, there was no reaction, he would say, even no comment, and he got increasingly angry about what he called as harassment. But the press knew that there were 2 people involved in the railway rapist cases, and Duffy's friend was the prime suspect.
John Duffy would go to trial alone, and there was more bad news for investigators. The judge instructed the jury to dismiss the murder charge of Anne Locke due to a lack of evidence.
This caused a lot of anguish with Anne Locke's family and a lot of surprise amongst the press. But the problem was that in the Locke case, there was no surviving victim to give any evidence. There were no witnesses to the attack. The fact that the body had been laid unfound for 2 months meant there was no DNA evidence.
In February 1988, John Duffy's trial began at the Old Bailey in London.